Pretty odd.
Panic at the Disco might say it's pretty odd.
All right.
Hi.
I think so. I updated this program.
What program?
The podcast program we use. So, anyways, hopefully it works out. If not, whatever. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wait, we were recording.
Wildly uninteresting podcast.
Rabbits.
Pod.
What's up, man? Welcome to the show. This is another episode of Wildly Uninteresting. I think we're on
episode 7.
32.
32.
Episode 7.
32. And we're switching up how we do things. We're going to pick a topic, right? We're going to present that topic.
Did you?
What?
Prepare?
I did, but I forgot my paperwork, so I'm going to be winging it.
Oh, so we're winging it. That works. Well, Sarah did some research too, and I'm just here to talk shit. But for the people who do watch, we have switched it up. So whatever the topic is,
don't explain it to them. Let's just do it. Fuck them. If they can't pick up on it, they don't deserve us.
It will be not predisposed, predetermined, and it will be posted. And then on the headline of the video and in the description, it will explain what is on the podcast. So you don't have to waste your time if you don't want to watch our subject matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that is healthy.
Hopefully we can, have enough content from the topic.
Right.
I know this will go for about 8 weeks, and they're like, well, I'm out of shit that I care about.
Yeah.
So now what?
And we'll just have to trick people to come in on the show. But this week's topic is...
Tim.
Oh, pretty much just racism as it pertains to IQ testing and standardized tests.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So where do you start with that? What's the basis
Well, you start in the late 1800s, early 1900s with this French bastard.
Frenchie.
No, I mean, I guess you could start there. That's kind of where it originated, but...
Well, I mean, what basis are we going off of? I mean, I get the title of it, but are you saying that, racially speaking, the tests are harder? Or they don't do as well?
Well, based upon the results, yeah. Blacks and Latinos don't do as well. So, okay. It started with, there was this case, Larry P. versus whatever.
Whoever they are.
Yeah, versus education, we'll say.
Yep.
Larry P. was this, he was this little black kid. It was in California. And they would do IQ testing. And, it's just, here you go. Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember doing one in first grade. It was just like, well, here you go. Take this. Let's find out where you stand, and go from there. Yeah. All right? So they administered it. And this kid, he didn't do too well. So they put him in... Yeah. His name actually isn't Larry P. But that was just like to protect his... since he was a minor.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So he didn't do too well, and they put him in special ed. And his mom got pissed. She's like, "Nah, fuck this. This shit's racist." So she took it to court. 4 other families jumped on, so it became like a class action style thing.
Yeah. And
the court found that, for cultural reasons, I guess we'll say, that the test was biased and slanted towards white people having the right answers and black kids not.
Yeah.
So, in the 70s, and I didn't see where it got overturned or like it's changed or anything. And now in California, it's illegal to administer IQ tests to black kids.
What?
See, I didn't...
Any other race is fine.
Really? See, I
Just
didn't
not
see
kids.
that. I was just trying to find the fucking statistics forever.
So there was
Why would that... What? So they're not allowed to give African American kids an IQ test.
Right.
What purpose does that serve?
Well, there's been the argument made that they were using the IQ test as a means of justifying treating them poorly.
Oh, I get you. So they use the test to justify themselves, putting them in special education, holding them back, all that. Who come up with that did the African American Society come up with that and say that they were using it to put them down, or was that an actual fact?
I'd say it's probably an actual fact, considering the time.
Yeah.
Throughout it, I kind of came to the conclusion it's a mix of both. Because, I mean, realistically, the tests are asked, you know, I mean, it's pretty objective. Have you guys taken an IQ test?
Man, it's been a very long time.
Okay, so, I mean, it's not a matter of remembering things. Like standardized tests, you know, if you take, like, your I-step and all that shit, it's pretty much like, okay, you're taught this shit, remember this shit. But IQ tests are based on your ability to think and like work out problems and come to conclusions and shit. Yes.
Yeah.
So to think that it would be racist or biased seems absurd.
I guess with the IQ test, I thought we were talking about standardized tests.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
Yeah. The IQ test, yeah, if it's just testing to see what you know,
and you don't know
the only
much.
thing that you have to really consider would be the wording, perhaps, because if a bunch of upper class white people made it, like, if you don't know anything about the stuff they're asking about,
how much is a coffee at Starbucks,
right? And wording,
I don't know, they always kicked me out.
Right? Yeah. We don't have, what's a Starbucks? If you don't understand the wording, if it's not like the dialect that you use, things like that, I can definitely see how it would hold you back.
Well, I went to a predominantly black elementary school in Portland, and like I don't know if I could say I noticed a difference or anything, but me moving out to PRP, and then
I'd say though they use the same ones essentially everywhere. So
because we still JCPC.
Yeah,
JCTCS.
so even those would be considered predominantly like white based tests, essentially white based.
That's
biased.
What I'm saying. Like it's almost like, and don't take this the wrong way, like conspiracy theorists, right, have all like these conspiracy theories because it fits their narrative, so to speak. Like narratively speaking, they're like, well, everybody's against me, right?
Yeah.
So how much of it is that they're against them, and how much of it is that they have been programmed to think that everything is built against them? The education system, the prison systems, all that shit. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they don't. It is rough, man. They do.
Cool. I've got a funny story for you along those lines.
Yeah.
This kid, this Larry P. kid, got put in special ed. He's like, wrongfully placed. Okay. So he got interviewed as an adult by these people. All right. And he said when he was in 8th grade, he was reading at a 3rd grade level.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like the test was kind of accurate.
Yeah.
All right. And then to make it better, what I thought was pretty funny, he ended up, after he graduated, he got a job in like a factory type setting.
Right.
He ended up getting injured on the job.
Yeah.
So workman's comp was coming his way. He got the letter from the company, but he threw it away because he couldn't read it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
damn it.
This guy has a mom who led the charge to call IQ tests racist.
Right.
And this fucker can't read his goddamn letter.
Well, so the IQ test was correct. That's why I'm saying, like, how much of it is that they're like, well, that's a white-based test. Well, just because white people came up with it doesn't mean it's white people-based.
Well, it felt like there was an argument made about like cultural perspectives and stuff, and there was an example given about a wallet. Mm-hmm. It was like, if you find a wallet, do you A, turn it in, B, leave it alone, C, something else, and D, like, keep the money?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. There was an argument made. It seems silly that this was even brought into the idea of like standardized testing and IQ, because I mean, who the fuck is going to ask an opinion question like this? But it was to highlight the idea that cultural standards are different, because if you're just like Joe White dude, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to turn that in, that's what I do. But if you're a black dude that's been like persecuted his whole life and people think, oh, this guy's stealing, then you're going to think, oh, I'm going to leave that shit alone.
Right.
Right.
And even though like culturally like within your worldview that fits because it's going to keep you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But objectively, it's the wrong answer.
Right. Yeah,
I'll say I can agree with it. Like growing up where we did, and like I said, predominantly black, and it grew and grew and grew to more predominantly black neighborhood. I could say that before prison and all that, and before, in my childhood, and the way my parents talked about money and how we didn't have a lot of it, and that was the answer to all the problems. If I found a wallet pre-prison,
I guess a wad of cash.
Yeah,
a wad of cash, boy.
Pre-prison,
yeah,
I'd pocket the shit out of it. I'm not going to tell nobody about this, but after prison and learning more and being more associated with people of that stature and knowing where it would get me if I continued to live the way I was, now I would definitely turn it into whoever. Like, I don't want to keep it. I'll put it back where it came from.
You'd be like,
yeah, just
immediately start clapping around it. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. I feel like, other than the fact that I looked up the statistics because I wanted to know, so I can see the differences.
right.
I feel like it's more of a low income versus middle income versus high income.
Yeah, it's not a matter of like, ooh, what color is your skin? It's like, well, what economic area do you come from, and what kind of emphasis does your family and community put on education?
Yeah, because certainly historically it has been black people living in low income, and that's still the case. It's not strictly black people in low income.
Right.
It's not.
I mean, even poor white people are stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Like my parents, well, when you hear stories and like comedians talking about the way they grew up, African Americans,
Right.
I can
why did
relate.
you go to a black school, but they're African Americans?
Oh, because I don't
What
know
is that
what to
about?
say, so I'm just like
We
black
both
and African American.
Both of us have flip-flopped. I said black
Yeah.
just a minute ago. Most of the time I say African American.
But
fucking
growing up there, and then like with my parents and stuff, I can relate more to the way an African American grew up than I can normal ass white people. Like when we moved out to PRP, I felt like an outcast because a lot of these people were living a lot better than I ever had. You know what I mean? We were pretty much faking it. So, you had that imposter syndrome to go with it.
Ooh, imposter syndrome. I like that.
Yeah, worked it in there.
Look at you, my
Look
little
at
cutie
ya.
patootie. I think it does definitely just depend, because with low income, which we discuss this all the time, comes a different mentality. You have that poor mentality. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but that's what I call it.
Yeah,
Where
no, I mean, it's fitting.
Yeah,
I mean, you get the poor mentality, but it's also kind of frustrating, and it makes it harder to really probe it, because in addition to the mentality, you have access to quality information.
Yeah.
So, if you got a lot of money, you can buy whatever is proper, but if you don't, then you kind of, it's not like you can't seek it out.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess along those lines, I looked up, like with standardized testing, I looked up the results from like the most recent SAT results.
Oh, yeah.
Because, people are still crying out, like, oh, the white people made it. The white people are ruling it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're middle class white people. I did fucking terrible on that bitch.
But the fun thing is, the Asians are doing better.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
So
I can
it made
see
me
that.
think, how can a test made by white people be biased towards white people if Asians are fucking us up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it's more, because I mean, you think about Japanese culture. They're like, oh, you got to fucking study. You got to work hard. You got to carry your weight or you're worthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, work hard. Plus the idea of the SATs specifically, because I mean, they have those thick ass prep books.
Yeah.
Go get a fucking book.
Yeah, seriously.
Prep for that shit. Don't blame systemic racism because you won't fucking read.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a shitload of and this is a crazy thing, there's a shitload of free libraries when it comes to Louisville and growing up inner city. They're within walking distance, and more often than not, people will go there, get on the computer, and then use it for Facebook rather than going and getting an education. Because the SAT study practice book are in those libraries. Like, you could get it for free. You don't have just a library card. You can get it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people choose not to do that. They'll just get on the internet. It goes back to what you said. We carry on us a computer that has infinite information, so much more. Anything you want to learn is on that. And 90% of people use it for nothing but Facebook,
porn and cat videos,
and porn. And I'm guilty when it comes to that. But
you also.
And
you have an inquisitive mind. Like, you get curious about shit and you dive in.
And so you also read about stuff and educate yourself on things. If you want to know something, you read about it. You have to have a balance. A balance. Thank you. Yeah. That's the word of cat porn in education. Not cat porn, but cat.
Porn. Oh, okay.
Comma porn, comma.
That's some loud shit.
Yeah, you can't see my punctuation.
No, but and a lot of it has to do with that, man. Like, you see a lot of people, the rags to riches story. A lot of people who exerted themselves enough to go out and read and do all this when they didn't have the means to do it, even in their school. Because in my school, like, I still don't know my times tables because there were so many of us.
Don't you laugh at my husband.
It went, but my time growing up was when No Child Left Behind, and what that meant was, even if you fell or if you know it, you don't know it, doesn't matter. We're gonna find a way to push you through.
Yeah, I know, and that's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
And they still do it to the day.
Because I mean, that kind of like speaks to the mentality that America has gotten to, where it's like, nah, it doesn't matter if you could do it or not.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring you along anyway, and it's no longer like carry your weight, because I mean, people are leeching on the welfare state.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, here's your free money. You didn't get your education properly, but you're just as valuable as everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if we don't place value on things and importance of knowledge and capability, then we're just in a decline.
Here's your participation trophy.
Yeah.
And you keep most people on a level of slave labor. Technically, if you keep them dumb enough, they'll just know enough to where we can teach them how to do this certain job and pay them practically nothing, and no health benefits, no nothing. So it's a lot of it, like, they're not trying to better that situation, because if they did, more people would be business owners, and
there'd be too much competition.
Yeah, and they don't need that. That's
there's enough electrical work out there. There could be all the competition in the world, and you'd still have work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but it's just how
that's
you.
Where the real geniuses lie.
Is how much you want to actually put forth
just figured something out.
Yeah,
into life.
I've been an idiot all along.
So many people don't put effort into nothing. Like, they don't care. They want it handed to them. And I have friends that I visually see them being worthless as fuck. Like, and there's days that, I don't have calls and I don't go out on jobs and stuff ever since starting the company, but at least I'm putting myself out there on a daily basis, putting out the ads and all that shit and contacting people. But there's people that are like, I can't get a job, but then you sit on the couch all day,
like, and don't even try,
and watch Netflix and pet your cat and stuff like that. That's not going to get you a job,
right?
Yeah, right? The cat needs love, but it also needs food.
Are you talking shit to me right now because I watch Netflix and pet the cat?
No,
I'm just joking.
But as far as racial,
right?
I don't know how much is actually a problem, how much is them constructing a problem, because they don't have it. Like, okay, if I can't let's say if I can't get rich making music, well, I'll blame it on the record labels and the producers and everything else, not the fact that my shit sucks, or not the fact that I can't play a fucking instrument, but I'll blame it on everybody else so you don't look at me. We all do that. In a certain sense, we all do that. If you were bad at something, won't you blame it on the fact, something?
It's an issue of pride.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, aside from the fact that my band sucks, I do blame it on the fact that people don't know good music when they hear it. It's a weird paradox, but...
I feel like we should definitely have a person who's not white on this podcast, because, of course, we've never experienced racism. We're not the kind that's going to hold us down, because at the end of the day, we're white. So we already kind of have a leg up. So
Indeed.
We've not experienced the
so, I mean,
bias.
The idea of like the lower income and the education stuff. I wondered why. You know, it's like, why don't you just get a loan and get into a better area?
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out apparently it's harder for black people to get loans for shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, because I mean, there's that joke going around where it's like, I've noticed a bunch of black people like to joke about like credit and shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, but yeah, my credit's fucked up. I'm gonna get me a white boy that's got some good credit, you know, kind of shit. And so, I mean, of course, it's not true in every case, but I would assume there's some truth in that.
Oh yeah.
There's fucked up credit there. So I mean, then it raises the question: is it hard to get a loan because you're black, or is it hard to get a loan because your credit's fucked up?
Right. Yeah.
But is it easier to fuck your credit up being black, or is it? I mean, not easier.
I mean, rims are expensive.
Fucking save.
I can see where you say like it would be unfair for us to talk about like racial issues without bringing up the fact that we don't technically know.
Right.
We're just posing questions.
Right.
My thing is, are you gonna like cry about it and preach about it and do nothing, just like white people do with the taxes and health care and all that? Like, we bitch about it, but everybody still fucking goes to work and doesn't lift a finger to fix it. Like, are you going to just cry and whine about it, or are you going to do something about it? Like, and it's now being brought up in a lot of conversations, which I know white people get tired of hearing it, but at least it's being brought up more often and brought to light.
Yeah.
But
if it's not ever brought up, it'll never have the chance of being corrected.
Right.
So, I feel like it's probably reasonable to acknowledge that racism sucks.
Yeah.
And it's rampant.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of playing the racism card kind of reminds me of like whenever women want to go home from work early and they're like, oh, I'm having women problems.
Yeah.
It's just an easy out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't call somebody on their bullshit because it's too touchy of a subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if a kid wants to get out of class and they're like, oh man, I gotta pee. You can't tell the kid they can't pee.
Right.
And then he doesn't pee, he just goes, he sits on the toilet and plays on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love seeing people get so uncomfortable when somebody pulls the race card and how uncomfortable people get. Instead of telling them to fuck off, like, yo, I'm not racist or whatever, they're like, I got black friends. Like,
I know.
That's like
that doesn't
the go-to
mean a
thing
fucking thing.
No, I've thought about that because, people tend to not like that. Oh, my black friend, this. But if there was if one of my black friends was like, oh yeah, my white friend over here, like, yeah, that's cool. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, cool.
So why is it touchy the other way? Because I can't really, I don't know any white people that would get upset about it.
No, I don't.
Like, oh yeah, my white friend.
Yeah.
No. Nobody gives a shit.
It's touchy because we've made it touchy and we've allowed it to be touchy. I don't know how to say that differently, but we've allowed it into our society.
We're in a bitch state.
Yeah, for them to play that card without holding them responsible for anything. So if you call me a racist, it stops the whole conversation. You ever seen like somebody say it to a cop or something? The whole game changes.
One time when I was doing security downtown, and there was this area where you're not supposed to be smoking, and there was this black dude on the cleaning crew.
Yeah,
and he was smoking. And I said something to him. I was like, "Hey man, don't smoke out here. It's not a smoking area." He's like, "Oh man, you coming at me because I'm black? You racist?" Yeah. I said, "No, I'm coming at you because you're in an area where you're not supposed to be smoking."
Right.
And then he kept going on. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's because I'm black." I was like, "No, it's because you're an asshole now."
Yeah, seriously.
And then that shut it up. And then we were cool after that.
You say a lot of times it is because as soon as someone says, "Oh, are you racist?" people just stop. They're instantly like, "Oh, I'm white. I don't want to be called racist." Like,
dude, it's like if you get in a fight, you immediately just punch somebody in the nose. Yeah. They can't see shit. They're like, "Oh." I don't know anything about fighting, but that's what Thoth said.
Yeah. Like he knows anything about fighting.
Come on, look at them guns.
Yeah, just because he's big doesn't mean he's fought.
Look at them guns.
What up, Dad?
Anyway,
it's chili time.
Yeah, it kind of...
I don't know though. That's why I told you on that the other podcast is that like they're making it to a point where, especially like a white male, they're making it like demeaning to be a white male on like Facebook and social media. It's like they're talking so much shit about just because you're wealthy and you're successful and you're white doesn't mean you're the fucking devil.
Okay, right. But that along those lines, like that kind of stuff where they demonize people, you know, and then like the people allow it because they back down.
Yeah.
Oh, you know?
At you. It was instant.
There's a part of me that's okay with that because I mean, if people are gonna call you out and try and tear you down, and you're just gonna shut up and take it,
right?
Fuck off, you're a bitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you probably deserve to be cut down and put in your place.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I can see it.
I mean, there's definitely a thing. I don't know. Perpetual bitch state. I wrote it down because that's exactly what it is. Like, no one will call each other on their bullshit. No one will stand
we live in
up.
A culture that tries to be real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell
Seriously.
it like it is.
100.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Oh shit, that's funny. Sorry. Say it again.
100. Keeping it 100. Keeping it 1,000.
All the way 100.
100.
But we live in this state of just no one wants to call anyone on their shit, unless you're white.
Yeah.
So so nothing else. Like, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're white, you can be called on your shit unless you're gay, and
or a woman,
or a woman.
Oh, now, yeah.
Or essentially anything other than a white male who was born a white male. If you
cis white male,
if you're a white male who has become a white male, they can't even say anything to you about anything because you know, at a certain point it's going to be because I'm transgendered or transsexual or gay, or
you know how just because I'm a man I don't need tampons.
Right.
You know how you can identify things out. So what if I was like, I identify as a buff black male?
Yeah.
But then I would be like, can I do blackface at that point or no?
Yes.
Is that allowed? Can I?
You would have to.
Nobody get I wouldn't get in trouble for that.
Oh, you would absolutely get in trouble until it caught on for a while. Yeah.
I wonder how long I could wear blackface before like somebody come up and fuck me up.
This is how I identify. Nah, probably not long.
No, I don't think it'd take long.
No.
No, not long at all.
It's definitely crap though.
See, I feel like a part of the problem also though is white people tend to not acknowledge enough how fucked up things actually are.
Mm-hmm.
So like instead of like passing blame and shit, just say, you know, you're right.
Yeah,
shit
right.
is fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are.
But across the board,
whatever.
It's not just one subject. Across the board,
Yeah.
Why is nobody on the Asians about this?
Nobody fucks with Asians.
No, because they don't
It's
complain
like
about anything.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the IQ test shit.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it all first started, there were essentially two schools of thought about it. The guy that created the original one, he just created it as a means of like testing us, finding out where we are, and then focusing on that. The second bastard that came along.
Second bastard.
Yeah.
This
I
dick.
don't mean to be biased on this assessment here, but the second bastard, he viewed it more. I don't remember his name. Sorry, if I had my shit in front of me, I would give you names.
Yeah.
But he viewed it more of cataloging people, putting them in their little boxes, and then
Is it Brigham?
It's like, I don't know.
Or was he the first guy?
Fuck if I know.
I think Brigham's the second guy.
I'm terrible with
cool,
specific
irrelevant
names and
information.
labels. But
it's not irrelevant.
and then the idea of using it as a guide for how to study and like better people, it became a way of cataloging them and holding them down. And then that led to the idea of eugenics and shit.
Yeah.
Which,
that was Carl Brigham. That's the guy.
Okay. So people fucking hate that idea. But I don't really understand why. Because, I mean, viewed through the lens of, the Nazis were essentially eugenicists.
Yeah, we'll use
What's
that
the basis of eugenicists?
It's essentially creating a master race.
Yeah.
Oh, and who's the master race? White?
No, it's just the smartest, the most athletically capable.
See, it would
it's
almost
like
be like Darwinism, but across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the...
Survival of the fittest.
Well, since you said the master race, I thought, well, when you say master race, I immediately think Nazis.
Yeah.
And then when I thought, you follow it to its eventual conclusion, I thought you take it to its final solution. I was like, let's just go full on nationalism.
Yes, yeah.
But if you take the idea of breeding, I guess, that even feels like a dirty word in the context of some things. But if you breed people to where they're the smartest and the most physically fit and the most capable of adaptation and shit like that, it seems in theory that it would be best for the human race. But then you get into the idea of where they would use people's intelligence as a means of justifying slaughtering them.
Right.
And I don't like how that gets all mixed up.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's create the best for humanity, but let's also just kill everybody that doesn't live up to that.
Why not sterilize or find a way to like introduce it to the water system and shit? Sterilize the people who are having 10, 15 retarded kids.
You gotta get me some of that eugenics water.
Yeah, and because that's what I talked to her about. Like, I'm not too pissed off at that.
Eugenidrated.
Like, only allow the people who have high IQs that are willing to put in the work and who are they excel in life. Right. Allow them to, and this comes from people that I know that we don't want to have kids, and we've agreed on that. But you don't have to have 3 kids. You don't have to have 4 kids because you didn't do shit with your life.
Are you looking
you
at
were
me?
lazy. Yeah, you were lazy. You were a piece of shit. Yet you want to have 4 or 5 kids just like you to do nothing in life. Like none of them are going to do anything.
So what about? Do you have any ethical concerns with that though?
You gotta throw ethics out at that point. There's no ethics at that point.
Well, I mean, my mad scientist side says, yeah, fuck ethics.
Right.
It's for the greater good. But, that's a slippery slope into cruelty and oppression, really. So, I mean, how do we avoid that but still stick with the idea of...
Teach them when they're young. Like, you can't have kids unless you excel. No. Just don't teach them that. Like, lay down those
eugenics and MK Ultra in this.
You gotta lay down those rules when they're young. Be like, look, you have to excel at. Like, you have to achieve this to have a kid. If you don't, you're not allowed to have a kid because you're not doing anything. You're not gonna teach your kids how to do anything. They're gonna be just like you, and they're gonna fucking suck shit off the government. Like, we don't want none of that.
How would we get that into law? Because I feel like the majority will say, stupid. Oh, my God. Okay. Did you guys see that NPR article?
Already, no.
Yeah, that one.
No.
All right. So there was a survey done. 1 in 4 Americans answered incorrectly about whether the sun revolves around the earth or the earth revolves around the sun. 1 in 4.
Fuck?
So... in my head, I thought, I'm sure some of them were just trolling.
Yeah.
So let's just say 10% of that 25% was trolling.
Right. Yeah.
Still fucked up.
Yeah.
So we got all these idiots running around voting and having kids.
Yep.
They're multiplying.
Yeah.
And the smart people are not.
Right.
They're not. Yeah.
So to get it into law under our republic,
Yeah.
You can't
do it. Because you'd have to have, you could though, because Thomson always said, like with the unions and shit, they vote in their best interest, against their best interest.
Yeah.
So if you can get union people to vote Republican, then you can probably get stupid people to vote for sterilizing stupid people.
Yeah, for sure.
Create some fake news.
Let's get it.
Create some fake news stories. Have them get all riled up about something.
Yeah, seriously.
And then vote in the guy that's going to pass that shit.
Thank you for switching sunglasses.
Yeah, I figured that way you could see me look at you.
Essentially, with anything, if you want to get something, I guess, as a law or get people to vote on something, it's all about wording. So you just have to word it properly to where it sounds like it benefits them.
Like the whole right to work state, but it fucks the worker.
Yeah.
It's all against the worker.
Yeah.
And people are like, we fucking want it. Like, okay.
I have a right to work.
Yeah.
I have a right
you
to
don't
work.
know what it means.
Half the people don't. That's like reading the terms and agreement. Like, nobody fucking reads it.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that kid that got the lifetime ban on Fortnite?
No.
Oh yeah, he used
awesome.
some kind of like cheat thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he was streaming, and they busted him, so he caught a lifetime ban.
That's
and
awesome.
he made a video, and he got all choked up talking about
Shut
it.
Yeah.
It was gold.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like,
They
fuck
take
you,
it so
idiot.
serious, man.
Yeah.
Fortnite, dude. I've heard some wicked stories about like the people that get so into it, and like all those dads on the internet that take the PS4, the fuck whatever, and beat the shit out of it out in the front.
Yes.
A lot of kid watches and cries.
So the new Ford contract, essentially, so all their temp employees can vote on this contract, okay? And
Yes.
it basically says that in order for you as a temp employee to become a full-time Ford employee, you have to be employed 3 years without interruption. And that includes every year they shut down the whole plant because they have to like redo everything for their new line. So that means that they will never become full-time employees, but these temp employees voted for it.
Yeah.
Because they were like, "Oh hell yes, I'm gonna be a full-time employee in no time."
So fucking stupid.
So you can definitely get people to vote on our shit because they voted for that shit.
That is fucking retarded.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What?
But they voted for it.
They deserve it then.
Hell
The
yeah.
president gets the country she deserves.
The friends that I have that worked in the union said that, you know, they're hiring in where, like, back in the day when he had to work 30 years to get this pristine position, right? Now they'll hire in, like, this young kid that will do it for, like, $12 an hour, where the guy who did it, you know, worked 30 years, he got paid $30, $40 an hour to do it. But they trick the younger, stupid people into they're like, you get this nice job, but they make them do it for, you know, half or a portion of what you're truly supposed to make on it.
I'm telling you right now, the reason they take it though is because they always give them a bonus. So here's a lump sum of $9,000.
And poor people love a bonus.
Oh yeah, immediately they're like,
They
"Fuck
do,
yes!"
man.
Everybody loves a bonus.
Even though that shit is taxed
I mean, poor
at
people
like,
do love it.
even though that shit is taxed at like 45%, so they're getting barely any of it essentially. They still see a lump sum versus I could go from $12 an hour to $30 an hour in a year. No, I'll take the lower pay. It takes me longer to get to being topped out because I want this lump sum. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But it's a very poor mentality.
Do you want one fry now or two later?
I want one now.
That's a test they do to kids, man. It's the marshmallow test. They ask the kid. That's how they can tell if that kid's gonna grow up to be well managed, be well, you know, use his time correctly. They'll ask him, hey, do you want this? I'll give you this one, but here's the catch: if you wait, I'll give you two later. And then the kid that waits for two later is usually the one that will exceed in life.
Yeah, the one that will run the companies.
But it goes back to the racial thing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, until I met her, and my mind was opened up after prison and stuff like that to living good, and I started listening to Tom and really, you know, taking his advice on money. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, you mean Tom DeLonge?
And listening to his advice on money, because we didn't grow up like that. We grew up poor and you know, bonus. They'll take bonus.
If I get this lump sum, hell
use it on whatever, and they just money management was not the skill in that neighborhood, and it was predominantly black. Not saying that it has anything to do with it, but I think that they've purposely held down black people to keep them in these, I guess you can call them hoods, because Portland's a fucking hood. Yeah. And really all Portland is you have drug users and drug dealers. Like, and they intermingle, they kill each other, and they stay uneducated. Mothers. Yeah.
Yes.
So they so I can relate with the bonus thing and stuff like that. That's why money actually scares me now. I just want to hold on to all of it because I don't want to buy shit. Like, unless I know that I'm going to for sure use it. That's I digress. But what I'm saying is,
are you going to give yourself a bonus?
No. I just keep it in the bank or something.
Well, you should like keep a few $100. Like, here you go, buddy. Good work.
Good work.
Thanks,
Pat
mate.
myself on the back.
Yeah.
But no, so I can relate to that. I'm not saying I can relate to black people. Don't take me wrong. But I am saying that I grew up that way.
Yeah, you can relate to a low-income mentality.
Yeah, and it doesn't even come to race anymore on that point. Yes, they want to keep you down, but there's a lot of white people that are in those same neighborhoods with you that have been held down because they're not as smart, they're not as educated, they're not as
they're just born
financially
into the wrong
sound.
situation.
Yeah, it's a situational thing that they had to get. Like, black people trying to work their way out of that hood is like catching a unicorn. You know what I mean? So you have a few that really make it and can whatever, show them the right way. Because we talk about, we have black friends that are very successful. They are CEOs and managers and stuff like that. They do very well for themselves. But it's because they probably, that unicorn situation happened, somewhere down the line. And then it just grew and progressed, where the normal black kid in the hood is like a miracle takes to get out.
In general life, I mean, you can look at the cases of that shit. Like, you're either born into it or you're catching unicorns.
Right.
Not a lot of people are born into it.
Right.
Most people are catching unicorns.
Yeah, hell
so
yeah.
everybody just shut the fuck up, catch a unicorn, and quit blaming other people for your shit.
For real. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you're a perfect example just across the board of how if you educate yourself and you change your mentality and you make positive choices, you can overcome anything. He came from low income, poor mentality, been to prison, drug addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, literally all the shit.
Motherfucker overcame everything.
Yeah, all the shit that can keep someone down.
And he's a ginger.
Yeah, and he's fucking redheaded. So
no, I think though, if I would have learned that younger, the way I am, I think if that would have been nurtured when I was younger, I think I could be a lot further along. Like 29, I feel like I'm way behind. Where
don't you have the concern though that if you had been nurtured, you would have gone a different path, and you wouldn't? Yeah, because I feel like you've kind of like you've empowered yourself from within out of necessity and your own desire instead of having it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with things being given to me and shit, like I'm kind of like a spoiled shit.
Right.
And I feel like I've kind of, not to say that the rent's ruined me by giving me things.
Yeah, right.
But like I didn't have to work for shit. So I'm kind of a fuckface.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I always told him, was that you and I both, we never had to want anything. Like if we say, hey, can we have this? If it was reasonable, we could.
There you go.
And there's something that's lost whenever you get anything you want.
I got free college against my will.
I swear to God, yes. Like, so thank you again, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, man. You guys are cool.
I think you gotta, when you're raising a kid, there has to be a fine balance from making them work for everything, teaching those lessons. Like, you really gotta fucking put forth effort, because life is suffering. It's not fair, and you really have to go against the grain to make it work. Right. In any given situation, even you in a nice situation. Yeah. Even you all in a nice situation and stuff, like it. Even that, like your dad did it the union way,
the right way,
saved up for thing and did it. Was it easy? No. And it. I don't know. Given the right teachings as a young kid, I think it can be easy. But still, that's a middle class thing. That's something that was made in the 50s, 60s, like that middle class. The Industrial Revolution birthed the middle class.
Right.
So it's still not upper class. You're still not in that tier. Right. You're doing well. You're very well.
Plus, I mean, in Thos's particular case, like, he did well because he worked his ass off.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, but how do you do it? And the 90-year-old that ain't really had to work and has a mansion and a car like that. If you come from middle class, that's a very hard goal to reach. Like, you usually middle class, you have to do it that way. Work hard, break your back, and then use your old age to retire on and chill out.
Every once in a while, you can go on a cruise.
Right.
I feel like we talk about lower income people. They need to educate themselves on yada yada and stuff. But I also feel like people of higher income rather than focusing purely on like intellect and shit, they need to educate themselves on reality.
Yeah, seriously, like how other people. Well, I get emails and stuff from the Reentry Coalition because it's helping people who have been to prison like get back into society, because it's difficult to get a job and get an apartment and to get all these things, get a car. They just release you and expect you to, be like everybody else instantly.
And free, have a house in a week.
Yeah.
And show up to
probation.
That's something I told her. And it doesn't go back to white privilege. Like, I was going to say, where was the white privilege when I got sent to prison? All my fault and stuff like that.
It doesn't apply.
It doesn't apply at that point.
Because he's not a bitch.
I will say that getting out of prison, like, that if it hadn't been for her, I would have just went back to the same shit. Doing the same drugs, fucking up just like it.
You have to have a reason to be better.
Yeah.
Well, and
there was no if I didn't have, because they want you to show up to probation and parole 24 hours after you get out. Then you have to do the fees immediately. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what I would have done if it was a perfect situation getting out.
Mm-hmm. It feels like without having her there, or just any reason in general to continue, it would be easy to fall into the trap of it's not worth it, man. Fuck this.
Well, especially your first meeting with your probation officer isn't the one in your area. It's downtown. So no matter where you live, he was living off Dixie Highway. He had to get to like 3rd Street.
Yeah. But I think it comes
if you
back
don't have a means, how would you do that?
I think it comes back to how bad do you want to stay out of prison. Like, how bad was that situation for you to want to stay out? Yeah. So most people, when they go back to those situations, they're like, yo, fuck it. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. This is who I am. Yeah. Instead of thinking like, yo, this is my fucking chance to wise up and do something different.
Plus, I mean, as inconvenient as it is, where it's like you got to go downtown, I mean, it makes sense. Do you want to stay out of prison?
Yeah. Right.
Then fucking walk. Because, I mean, you can't expect the legal system to come to you.
No, not at all. But my whole point of this was that the Reentry Coalition is basically community people are involved in this, and they're trying to come up with different ways and resources that they can help people make the transition easier.
That would be nice.
Yeah, come with some resources to assist people to make it just a little bit easier. Because yes, your choices got you there, and yes, you've made bad decisions. Yeah. But if there are resources there, why wouldn't we make them? They're
and
available.
That way, when that person goes back, then they have no excuse.
Yeah.
If we give you the means to stay out and do better, you can't say that we were against you.
Correct.
Like,
if you know about the resources, they're available and they're accessible. It's your decision to not use them is what it comes down to.
Yeah. I understand like the vitriol and shit towards like criminals and things of that nature. But it doesn't do any good to treat them like shit.
Right. No, it absolutely doesn't. Like, they're still people.
Yeah. You fight fire with fire and everybody gets burned down.
Yeah, seriously.
So, help each other out. Maybe
it
could be in shitty.
That's like an age-old argument. Like, there used to be rehabilitation. They've taken out college from the prison system and everything. Like, there's not really much. I mean, for a year and a half, dude, and the other years that were prior to that, like, I never gained any new information. They never took us to the library. They didn't even have a library. It was a couple books. Like, there was nothing to really build or correct. What do they call it? It's
corrections.
Yeah, it didn't correct me, do nothing. I got in there with other criminals.
It's just punishment.
Yeah, and come up with better ways to be a criminal, for one. Yeah. And then when I finally got sent to prison, there was nothing.
Stew in your misery and anger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing
it'll
we
make
look
you a better person.
Yeah, seriously.
The only thing we look forward to when you go to prison is that you can walk outside.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually walk outside and see trees and grass and all that, and play handball and basketball and lift weights. Like, that's the only rehabilitation you get. They have nothing.
Right.
It seems like it would be helpful. Like, they would want libraries and like education in prisons. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the exception of obviously like white collar crime, where they're like, "Oh, I'm smuggling money and shit. You know,
money
like,
and shit.
You know, like it seems like the more educated you are, the less likely you are to commit like petty bullshit crimes.
Yeah.
So why the fuck wouldn't they want to battle that?
Well, and there's some really awesome prisons in the entire world where they have lots of like activities and
especially abroad.
Yes,
abroad
and
really
their like recidivism rates are lower. The people like they have something to do so they don't get in trouble as much. They are much less likely to return because they've gained knowledge, education, skills to improve their lives on the outside. And then when it comes down to it, you're bettering the greater everything because you're not sending a bunch of criminals back to the streets to do the same shit over again.
Right.
Yeah. Recidivism. Clinky.
That's
Chunkies.
I was watching, which at first I thought I think a lot of black representative, African American representatives.
You already said black, man. Just ride it.
What representatives?
They come across more of like a preachy, in your face, pissed off and all that stuff. They really need to come at it like Malcolm X. Come at it like Dr. Martin Luther King.
Pissed.
Like come at them
by any means necessary.
Come at them a better way than preaching and making it all their fault. You have to have a certain sense of
objectivity.
You have to see it from both sides, and you have to, like, I know it's going to hurt you, but compliment their end and be like, look, how can we do this together and work together? Because Murder Mike, that guy, he was talking about, because I didn't believe it at first. It's like, oh, this is just another preachy fucking video. And but he broke down how the CIA put crack in the hands of the black man to tear apart the black household because they were how can you take over the black household? And it was to take the male out of the situation. So put crack in their hand, put them in the correctional facility, take them out of the home.
So if the government knew this shit and they did that,
yes,
and these lesbian feminists are still like, we don't need fathers, 2 mothers are fine.
No.
Yet the government was successful.
Yes.
Because
why don't they just shut the fuck
ruining
up?
an entire
bitch
people.
feminist.
He was saying like before the 60s or 50s that I think it was right before the 60s, which I'll have to watch it again or whatever. I'll put it in the link, a link and whatever. But he said that before the 60s, that the black household was very strong. Black males had great jobs. The middle class, they were living really good in nice neighborhoods. And then right after that happened, they introduced crack, tore apart the black household. Everything went to shit, and they kept them held down in that way.
Now
so
that
it
they
is
can
systematic.
go to our schools, we got to give them drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
They had to find a way. And it comes down to you got to think about it. Most white people are fucking racist against black people because they play sports better than us.
I don't know about most.
The ones that are mad are only mad because black males hurt our pride because they can play sports better.
He dunked on me
They look
again.
better in general. They're more fit. They're fucking
definitely more charismatic.
Yeah.
Well, and instead of improving oneself, let's just tear this guy down. Like, go to the fucking gym, dude. Have a better personality.
There's 2 ways to have the biggest building in the city. Build the biggest building in the city or tear down the biggest building in the city so that you can be the biggest. And that's what they do. They tear down people because they can't deal with themselves. So instead of expecting more from themselves and trying to use that as like a goal to achieve, they talk shit about it. They're mad. Most of those fucking redneck hick bastards are just, they're pissed off because they do things better than them. You know what I mean? Men do that for some reason. They do that. That's where they get pride. Yeah. Their ego is fucking huge, and they're prideful.
Back in the day of like the hunter-gatherer shit, you just kind of, it's all physical.
Yeah.
You either rise to the top and fuck all the women, or you
gotta pick berries.
You just live. Yeah.
Pick berries.
You berry picking Lily.
And no one wants to be a fruit.
Nobody wants to be. And that's what I always told her, and it's usually the redneck hicks that are always racist and talking shit about black people are the ones that wake up come home to a black dude just railing the shit out of their wife
Right.
because like they've brought that into fruition. They have visualize that so much because they have so much hatred that it appears in their life.
Have you guys noticed? I don't know. I mean, it could just be my read on it, but I feel like whenever people are hateful towards Mexicans, like they're hateful in a different way than they are towards black people.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that.
Because I feel like whenever people are shitting on Mexicans, it's like
they're stealing our jobs.
Yeah, but you know they're shitting on black people. It's not like they're stealing our jobs. It's like they're better than us.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I hate you because you're so good.
But we've had that conversation quite a few times. But when it comes down to me, like I've never ever had a racist thought about. Like I wouldn't understand the racism toward Mexico because they're like, oh, they're stealing our jobs. Well, do you want to be a roofer? Do you want to be a drywaller? Do you want to be a painter?
Yeah.
Like, those jobs are what are being taken.
A painter.
Well, in any of it, like, they're not stealing your jobs. They're getting a job. So go get a fucking job.
And I'll tell you what, right now, dude, they can do a job. The cultural difference is just amazing because white people... I can see on a job site, white people, and they're lazy as fuck. You can tell how they were raised by the way they work.
Yeah. If they're not a supervisor, they look out of place.
Yeah. Truly they do. And then Mexicans, they don't talk. They don't, they'll shit in buckets so they don't have to take
just keep
bathroom
going.
breaks.
I was like, they just go. Shit with you. But
I know.
I fucking love it. I mean, their work ethic is insane.
So, I was talking to Zach about... essentially this kind of shit, and he's part Mexican. So and he was all like, Mexicans have a great work ethic, and so
they totally do.
I mean, I assumed, because like I've never witnessed any Mexicans like being all shitty and like lazy and stuff. I've also never noticed any depressed ones.
Right?
But,
I think
so it's like they have a great work ethic. They're family oriented. They love the Ramones, and they fucking
well,
it's
maybe
crazy.
A lot of it because
their food.
Jordan Peterson brings this up a lot.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson talks about how life is made up of like connections. Like we have to be around people in groups, and that's how we thrive. Well, Mexicans, I dated a Mexican girl one time, and her family was so tight knit and always together. Like they were always over the house, and the house was full. I think it's because they don't put so much emphasis on money and status and
individuality.
Ability. Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a curse of America, because like in other countries, like if you live with your family, like if you live with your parents and your grandparents and shit, that's normal. In America, if you live with your parents, like what the fuck are you doing?
If you live there past 18, they think you're fucking crazy or a loser.
I talked to an Indian lady, and she said that that's their culture looks at that in a bad light. Like so you're pretty much your grandparents and your parents will live with you until they pass away. And if you kick them out or send them to a home or anything like that, you are a true piece of shit. And you're out. Like it doesn't happen in their culture. They pretty much live and you take care of them until they die, and then you're able to live on your own. Your kids take care of you, and the cycle just goes. That's the way it works.
Village city.
And that's what blew me away about it. But I've never met, when it comes down to that, I've never met a pissed off Indian or Muslim. Like they're all nice as fuck. And they're very giving and understanding. I love it.
I know.
But we're the ones that give them that outlook. So
I mean, it makes sense.
Is it America or is it the white man? Like which one is?
I think it's America for sure.
Well, it's America, but I mean, America was essentially the white man.
Yeah, it's ran by white men. It was started by white men.
Great,
so.
white men built a great thing, but at the same time, there's shittiness in it. But that's true of anything.
Yeah,
nothing is going to be all good. So we just need. Okay, it's like, if you have like incest and shit, you're just going to continue to breed all of the worst shit, and it's going to degenerate into crap. So the idea of America being the melting pot is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's just going to be terrible getting there.
People like, fucking accepting it and shit.
America needs to be like this. No. America needs to be like this. America needs to be like this.
Yeah.
So
I told her that it's eventually, because people's voice is being more widely heard, especially with social media, we can gather and we can find the groups that agree with us and that we can grow as a group quicker because of Facebook and Instagram. So if we can stop excluding ourselves and stop like being that tribal situation, and start banding together on a lot of these issues that are very terrible, like healthcare. We're trying to get personal healthcare now, and it's just it is outrageous, and they don't pay it. Anyways, digress again. What I'm saying is, if people can stop
being
disconnecting
segregated,
themselves, they're segregating themselves. It wouldn't be a black-white Mexican issue if you stop segregating for religion, race, and all that. You're doing that.
Right. Yes.
I feel like they do it more than people do it to them. I got it. You know what I mean?
Most
like
definitely.
It has nothing to do with us holding you down anymore, because there's so many opportunities now with the internet and Facebook and all that. Like, it's not those issues anymore.
Right.
Now they're just putting out information so that you will segregate yourself and get pissed off at one another.
Well, yeah, and
we fight each other more than we fight the government.
And
Ain't
to
that
be
shit?
so completely.
Well, if you fight the government, you're gonna get locked up and killed.
Yeah. If people could just be objective and say, okay, well, this person doesn't believe the same thing I do, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Let me try to
They're
understand now.
entitled to believe what they want, but you're still a good person, and accept them for that, and then just carry on, and just,
they form a militia against it.
Right, exactly. They're like, oh, no, you have to believe what I believe, or go fuck yourself.
Right? Like, I hate the idea of, like, anytime I come to a situation where it's an agree to disagree type thing, like, deep down, I hate it.
Yeah.
But it's inevitable. Embrace that shit.
Yes.
Because I asked y'all, like, would it make sense for, if the white community just straight up, like, let's all just apologize. What can we do? Let's go back to, like, baseline. Let's start over on all races. Let's just start over and do different. If that would make a difference in the world, and I don't think it would. I think it would birth an uprising from the black community. Like, oh, you think you could just say you apologize and make it all better? No, but we got to figure out how to make this better without fighting each other and killing each other.
I think if there was a video of Joel Osteen sucking Al Sharpton's dick and apologizing, that might help.
Sorry. I think if it was genuine and whatever was like decided upon as this would help, and it was actually done, I think you could make a very positive change.
Getting together as one unit, like an American unit.
Yeah.
Every state get together as one. And you look at that with Christians. I mean, if you say anything other than God or Jesus Christ, they fuck. I mean, they flip their shit.
No.
Their brain is so, one line. It shuts down. If they don't know anything other than that.
Yeah, that's it.
It's crazy.
But
man, you get up a lot.
Why don't you get the fuck up?
No, I was just about to thank him for his efforts.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah,
Thanks,
but
brother.
no, I think things could make a very positive impact, but it's also important to remember that you're not going to change everybody's mind, because some people just want to be fucking mad because they want to be mad. Yeah. They'll find something.
That's what they're born to do.
Yes.
Is just be pissed off as shit.
And that's across the board,
no
matter what fucking race.
The idea of with the 25%, getting it wrong about the earth and the sun, like that's really demoralizing, thinking that we can enlighten people and educate them to get along and to get past the shit and unite.
Yeah.
Like, modern times, man.
Yeah.
Like, if people don't know that shit, how can we expect better?
No.
You can't.
And that does kind of justify killing people.
Yeah, it totally does.
And it goes back to, like, I truly believe in the fact that only the strongest, smartest should be able to procreate, because we're not looking for numbers anymore. We got enough numbers, right? We have enough workers. We actually, we have enough workers.
Too many goddamn workers.
People on welfare and homeless, like, we are good. Now let's step back and be like, look, we want to build in America and European countries that are just
enough quantity. Let's focus on quality.
Strong. Let's like find the best of the best, and then like everybody as a community focus on raising these super kids.
No, I mean,
you know
essentially
what I mean?
I feel like that is kind of happening. It's just that's the minority, and the majority is incapable, intolerant people struggling to survive,
right?
And they're not going to die a quiet death.
No, they're not.
Well, we
so,
went,
you know,
we went
it's gonna
back
be
to,
fun.
we talked about something, fuck, I forgot what it was, but, you know, we were watching something and the mom was like, oh, well, how can I make this work when I'm trying to have a kid? Or
yeah, I don't remember
trying
what
to have
it
my
was.
second kid or third kid. Like, nobody asked you to have the first one.
Yeah.
Like, you're making life harder on you. Like, you said that they're struggling to survive. That's what I told her. Like, we always have, I went without working for like 4 months and we've always had money in the bank. And me starting the company, we've always done with that. One day, I'm sure that we'll get struggling and stuff like that. But it's because we don't spend money that we can't afford to lose.
Yeah, on just whatever.
Yeah, filling a void and so I think so many people spend wildly. They don't know how to manage money. They need to teach that in schools better.
Yeah.
I never got taught how to manage money in school. Did you?
I was not
I
in
mean-
school. Well, I mean, they talked a little bit about like what is that word?
I don't know.
You have like a list of what you're gonna spend your money
Oh,
on.
a budget.
A budget.
Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
God.
Yes. Yeah. Clearly,
But
it really
not
did
like-
some good.
Maybe I
Not
should kill
like
myself.
how
Yeah, a little
money
bit of
works.
budgeting, but I mean, the rents talked about that shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in spite of the fact that they did their best to instill in me the idea of responsible spending and shit, I still fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So,
But you're still gonna have that factor of like what you do in the situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
but I mean, I also had the whole thing where like I would buy shit, just like impulse buy shit, just because it was like taking drugs.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like, oh yeah, this is
Feels good.
temporary happiness.
Hell yeah.
It's, you know, being miserable is rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
you know,
a lot
then
of-
that ties
That's
into
what
mental
everybody
health
else says.
issues.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are the same exact
God!
way.
Christ, dude.
We're
I
all
think-
gonna die.
I know.
I think a lot of people are the same in that
Damn
manner.
it.
It's like they're just filling a hole. They're just like a drug addict, and they don't see that.
Yeah.
Is that they're buying these things that are very fucking worthless,
Yeah.
worthless things, and they're not spending. And then the same people that do that and get up underneath a, crazy loan for a house and shit. The people that do that then complain about money.
Yeah.
But you're not spending it smart in the first place. So
Right.
whose fault it? Like, we didn't ask you to fucking spend all your money.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Quit being a
part
dick
of
sucker.
that's part of that mentality of money will solve all my problems.
Right,
But then
it
when
won't.
you get money, you spend it
You
on
fucking
stupid
spend
shit.
it.
If you had a budget and you got X amount of money, whether it's large or small, and you went to your budget and you spent it the way it was supposed to be fucking spent, so fewer people would have money problems.
I've
Yeah.
got leprosy, but these band-aids will fix it.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
honestly think, though, that they teach us at a young age to be consumers and to learn. The way I was raised is that money will fix everything. So that when you get it, you're like, well, I feel so terrible. Let me buy a bunch of dumb shit that I've wanted this whole time I've been suffering. You know, and that's something you have to get over. Is when we met and, you know, working at doing life the right way, like it was a little bit for me to get over that because I wanted to fill that void. Like, oh, I need this, I need this. And I realized, yo, you're not using none of it. Like, you know.
It's just a form of exercising.
Yeah. Fucking
Yeah.
pulling out
Sucks.
my
You
wallet.
can do more as you go, and it sucks starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. That's exactly what it is. I like that.
But I love when those people are the same people that complain about having money issue. And then they're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm trying to have a kid. Or I have 3 kids to support. Like, yo, nobody asked you
Yeah.
not to wear a condom,
Yeah,
okay?
and if you already can't support one, don't have a second.
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing? I don't give a fuck what you want. I don't
and if
care.
you accidentally do it, get an abortion.
I feel like
for
people
sure.
who make that statement, I wish I had like a radar and I just go to their house and fucking like shoot them right in the face with a shotgun. Just be done
Oh,
with them.
yeah.
Be like, all right, moving on, and their kid, because no one's. What, do you want to put them in the foster system?
Foster,
No.
too many people in there already.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. There's answers to all of it, but it's not. You couldn't just answer those questions and do a quick fix because it's so deeply entrenched that it's going to take a long time for us to turn around as a society.
Yeah.
Racially speaking, religiously speaking, like everything. Whatever. It's not black and white.
It's so deep.
Yeah.
It does
very
go
much
deep.
is.
Because once you fix one issue, I'm like, oh, this is answered. Then you've brought up, 10 other problems that you gotta to fix, and then with
Yeah.
those 10 come 20.
So
The
I mean,
United. Huh?
Huh?
I was going to say the United States of America became a country in 1776. The issues go back to then. Yeah. So it's going to take at least that long to correct them and create better, I don't want to say solutions, but
better shit.
Just to make a better society in general that thinks differently.
Yeah.
So.
And there's so many ways to, that's what I told her, that I wanted to go against the grain and find a different way to make money. Like, I'm cool with making money what I do right now, but what else can we do to make money like an unconventional way? Because right now there's more options than there's ever been, ever. And more opportunity for you to succeed. Like, people that are in the hood and people that are racially held back can actually succeed much faster than they ever could, ever.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing it, then you are wasting your time. Like, I get it. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
That's why I told her with the wreck and all that shit.
A lot of shit's hard.
You want to sit back
hard.
with the trauma and cry about it. I want to cry about how I was raised or whatever. Everybody has a story. Everybody's, it's unfair for everybody except the people at the top, and fuck them. Like, you're never going to get there anyways.
Even them, their kids hate them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they deal with their own hell for sure. But it's everybody has a story. Life is unfair for everybody. Quit fucking bitching and go do something about it. Instead of getting on Facebook and crying and whining about it, go fucking do something.
Yeah.
Quit being a bitch about it. But they want, and pulling that race card is just like me saying, "Oh, well, my hip hurts from the wreck." Like, I could stop working now and be a piece of shit because I could be like, "Yo, my hip hurts all the time."
You could collect disability for your hip, but you can't get disability for being black.
Right.
Right. Seriously.
So you have to find something within your capabilities to be like, I can blame it on this. Instead of looking at it like, yo, expect more from yourself. Just because you are yourself. Don't, base that on what other people see. Expect more from you.
Yeah.
And put you through hell to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, because you fucking deserve it.
Yeah, you are enough. You deserve it. But they don't see it that way. And I get in that habit too where I blame stuff on her. I'll get in my little sad mood, my little traumatic mood, like, oh, well, I got all these things stacked against me. Well, everybody does. Everybody has a story. Everybody has things stacked against them. Quit bitching.
How do we get past that though? Because I mean, I've thought like, if you don't
bully people as children.
If you don't have self-worth, and you feel like culturally and societally like you're viewed as inferior and you've been held down and shit, like how do you overcome that? Because I mean, just on a smaller kind of like micro level,
as like an individual.
Well, like if I'm in a room full of people that are not of my demeanor, like if they're all like professional and shit, and they wouldn't be serious about things, I don't really come through in the same way. Like I'm not fully Ian.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could see how that would be a much deeper thing if you think that like 30% of white people think you're just worthless from the beginning.
Most definitely.
So realistically, how the hell could you overcome that?
I'll say.
No, you go.
I will say, and I hate to bring him up because I always do, but Eric Thomas, right? Eric Thomas had a decision to make when he was finally big enough to be invited to a meeting with Warren Buffett and 10 other billionaires, right? He had the choice to either go against the grain and buy a suit and dress up, nice shoes, nice clothes, or go in with his ball cap, from Detroit, fucking t-shirt and jeans. He had those two options. He was like, look, I'm going to do it as me, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be good enough. And sure enough, like, he's a millionaire now. Like, he's doing big things because he was himself, he was genuine, and he had a lot to offer because he worked on him.
So then in that case, his self was good enough.
Yeah.
So what about those cases, though, where yourself isn't good enough?
I know, man. Yeah, you got to work a lot harder than it comes into putting in hard work for yourself.
I think a lot of times the thing is staying true to yourself. I say that to people all the time. Like, stay true to you. What are your goals? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be in life? And utilize your strengths. You have to know what you're good at and what you're bad at. So use what you're good at to get you there. And because you don't have to be cookie cutter. Like, yes, when you walk into a room of like suits who have they're fucking successful, it is intimidating for sure.
It is more than your car.
Absolutely.
I'll get emotional real quick.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying though. Like, how do you get over? Because sometimes, like, it's massively stacked against some people. Some people can't talk right. Mm-hmm. They can't learn right.
Well, I mean, along the lines, like, we were talking that one time about not everybody is creative.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody is meant to excel.
Right. Yeah. It's true, too.
And then I was thinking, can we call this episode Lungs Suck at Being Kidneys?
Yes.
Yeah, done.
Okay, great.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's some people that, I mean, it's truly 110% stacked against. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, how do they overcome it? And you have to persevere in that situation. Like, what can you make of yourself as you are? Like, that's the question you have to ask yourself. But sometimes, I mean, that's a very, very hard question.
It's like being a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
You just got to go where you go instead of...
Exactly.
Not everybody can be a cloud. Sometimes you got to be the bear on the chair.
Yep.
And I really think, though, it does come down to you have to use your strengths. You have to know what you're good at and what you're capable of.
And you got to sharpen that shit.
That's
and
why
if you want to do more, you have to use the resources that are out there. If you feel that you are genuinely not worth being better than you are, but you want to be,
then kill yourself.
No, that's or there are people that you can talk to that can help you with self-esteem. So
Indeed.
You can work on that, focus on making yourself realize your worth.
Yes, and then know going into it that's going to be a process too.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's not going to be overnight.
It's not like, oh, here you go, here's some pills, eat this, you're fine. It's
right. You got to be ready to put work in.
For years, we're going to work on changing your outlook.
Yes. Yeah. It's a big part of it, and a lot of people would benefit from, I think everyone would benefit from working on their self-esteem a little bit, no matter who you are.
Yeah, and then walk the line between self-esteem and arrogance.
Yes, yeah. You need to be confident. Don't be a cocksucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's
unless you're a woman or a gay man.
That goes back to
suck
me.
that cock.
That's right.
I'm very good at learning new things, and I'm talented in a lot of ways, but that gives me a lot of options to pick from. Instead of like people who grow up and they're like, well, I'm really good at this one thing. Mm-hmm. If I was good at one thing, I would focus on that, whatever. I have so many options, like I get overwhelmed. Like, which one do I want to focus? Which one do I think could actually propel me into
making
successful
a choice
lifestyle?
sucks.
Yeah.
Because I did the electrical thing, and I'm a master electrician. I have a company, but it dawned on me like, yo, I did that without really trying. Mm-hmm. Like not trying. We tried like a motherfucker, but like if I could do that and
more
not
just going
try,
with the flow and putting in the work instead of I'm gonna struggle with this.
I'm passionate about how it works and all that. I'm not so much passionate about dealing with the customers and doing the whatever. I'm excited about electricity itself. Not about the stuff.
Yeah, the customer service.
What is the difference between alternating and direct current? Like, why is that a thing?
Ooh, well,
direct
you just got
current
him really excited.
is like from a battery, so the current only travels in one direction. Alternating current, it travels from like positive to negative. So it's like a magnet on a motor moving back and forth from other magnets. I don't know how to explain it too much. I could draw you a picture. But direct current is what it's like from a battery. Alternating is what comes in your house. You can propel alternating current along a longer distance without it overheating and without sizing the wire up. So it's more accessible for everybody.
So it kind of gives there's a break in the action. You could say. Yeah. Instead of just like go, it's like go break.
Yeah, it's constantly pushing and pulling, so it goes in the circuit and then back out of it. You know what I mean? Instead of direct current travels from negative to positive in one direction, alternating goes from negative to positive.
Is there ever a possibility for like a third thing?
There's a 3-phase alternating current, but you're talking about like an alternate form of electricity. That's a good question.
Very good question.
Because I think that in lies the answer.
Give me a great answer.
Yeah, that in lies the answer to our electrical needs as far as green goes. You know what I mean? Right now, all we have is direct and alternating. But can we gain electricity from the atmosphere or from outer space or something like that? That would be something to look into.
And if so, would it be a different kind of...
Yeah, how different would it be in terms of direct or alternating? I think they'd probably group it with one or the
Call
two.
it atom current.
Atom current.
Yeah.
AAA, yo.
That's
That'd be
right.
cool.
But,
I love that.
Yeah, the main difference is
Yeah, I like that too.
AC will let you go, DC will, pull you in and hang on to you. It never breaks its circuit where alternating current goes from negative to positive. So you have a zero potential 60 hertz per second. So 60 times a second,
Definitely
it lets
draw
go
a
of
picture
you.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
it lets go of you. But yeah. But as far as like a third option, I wonder what that is. Like even you saying that, I've never even thought about that. Like outside the realm of DC and AC. Like now I'm like, yo,
ooh, he's
there
gonna
could
try
be a
and
third
find
option.
another
I think
option.
maybe that's why we're stuck on this. Like, how do we find what's the answer to the energy crisis? That third energy possibility.
It's like the Republicans and Democrats. What about that libertarian?
What's going on over there?
I think that third option would give you power for like spacecrafts. You know what I mean? Like, I think the answer to the third electrical power source would be also the main source of energy for spaceships.
Hell yeah.
That'd be cool.
But I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
I have no clue.
All right, whatever. Fuck that. Let's talk about this crazy ass thing I read about.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So there's this dude. He was he's on he was serving a life sentence. I forget what the fuck he did. It doesn't matter. He was serving a life sentence.
Probably murder.
And he took probably. He took out a do not resuscitate thing. And he died while he was in prison.
Yeah.
And they resuscitated him.
Shut up.
And he's arguing that since he has a life sentence and he died and they resuscitated him against his will,
is that
he should be let go because that sentence is over. I didn't see a picture of him. I just read the story.
Yeah, I saw that and I didn't get to read it. I was wondering what that was about. Apparently, he's got a lot of supporters on that.
Yeah, I say let him out.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be revived.
He served his life sentence.
And
Interesting.
The state, they're all like,
yeah, man.
Oh, no, he's not dead until a coroner pronounces him. It's like,
no,
motherfucker died.
Yeah, if you have to resuscitate.
Yeah.
And he had a DNR.
You don't resuscitate living people.
Yeah.
Well, if that happened out in the non-prison world, you'd have a fucking lawsuit on your hands.
Yeah, you could sue him. I wonder if he's trying to sue.
Oh, he's a prisoner. Fuck him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter. But you have to be healthy to be put to death. Suck my dick.
That's stupid.
They'll keep you alive to put you to death.
No.
They will. If your health diminishes.
That's some vindictive shit.
Yes, it is.
If it diminishes by the time, like, before the electric chair, they'll try everything they can to keep you alive so that the people, your victims, can watch you die.
Yum.
It's a fucked up system.
You have to be in good health. You cannot put an ill man to death.
I think he should definitely.
The government is really premeditating shit.
Yeah, I bet he has attorneys.
We're not just gonna kill you. We're gonna keep you alive.
I bet he has attorneys contact him to sue.
Yeah.
I would.
He would have to be released to sue, though.
Why?
I don't think they'd let him sue in prison because he doesn't have that right. Essentially,
yeah,
he has basic rights, but I don't think he's got the right to sue.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. Should
If
look
we got any
into that.
lawyers out there, give us a call.
Give us a call.
We can,
Give him a call.
we can work through this.
Cool, man. I'm getting hungry, yo.
Yeah.
It's food time over here at the Wildly Uninteresting Podcast.
We're doing breakfast
episode
for dinner.
32. That was true
That
excitement.
was great. Oh,
Do you have a show coming up next weekend? Not this weekend. Next weekend?
I don't know.
Probably.
Probably.
If you know if they've got a call, give us a show. Give us a call.
Actually, I
backwards.
feel like we're playing a house show in Irving or Irvington
House
or something. I
I
don't
like
know.
house shows, man.
I know they're fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler atmosphere.
Yeah. They the comedy group or the comedy scene, they do a bunch of these house shows where people will use their basement and shit. I think it's cool as fuck.
Hell
man.
yeah.
That's some true support to the craft. I think there's no better support to the craft than that. So, yeah, man, house show in Irving.
It infuses it with love.
Yeah, man.
I stand by it. I want to do one here.
Yeah, no, I agree. We
I think it'd be awesome.
Even if we built a stage out back. Are you talking about like a comedy show?
Yeah.
Oh hell, we can do it
either
in the
one.
living room and shit.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We tried one time to get it going, but it fucking fell through. I guess the guy wasn't too excited about it. So.
Yeah. No. Fuck him.
It'll go. It'll happen.
Fuck you.
It'll happen.
Fuck you.
We'll build it and they will come.
Yeah.
But no, we appreciate
all over it.
everybody listening. Thank you for tuning in to the Wildly Internet. We got off topic, but we're
just
trying
at the
this new
very
thing.
end.
We always get off topic.
Yeah.
It feels weird staying on topic.
I know
like
it feels
I want
too
to,
pushed.
but it's like,
But if we start with it, I think that's a good base.
I feel like we stayed very much on topic until the very end with the last two stories. It just there's more than one issue within this.
That's true.
Yeah, I think we did a great job.
All right, end this bitch.
Yeah, comment, like,
You're
share, hit the little bell so you can be notified when the videos get uploaded. Thank you for listening.
But don't break it.
Wildly Uninteresting podcast.